At 8 in the morning, a single employee opens an email that looks completely ordinary. By that evening, an intruder is quietly reading files on a server 3 rooms away from where that employee even sits. Nobody kicked down a door. No single alarm screamed. Instead, the attacker moved one careful step at a time, from that one open attachment to running code to setting up a way back in to grabbing more powerful accounts to hopping from machine to machine until they reached the data they came for. For years, every defender described moves like these in their own private language, which made it almost impossible to compare notes. Then MITRE built a shared map of exactly these behaviors, and it changed how the whole industry talks about attacks. In this video, we are going to walk one intrusion across that map, step by step, and you will see how attackers actually move through a network, and, just as importantly, how defenders catch them. So let us start with the map itself. In MITRE own words, MITRE ATT&CK is a globally accessible knowledge base of adversary tactics and techniques based on real-world observations. Read that again slowly, because every word is doing work. It is a knowledge base, not a product and not a scanner. It is free, open, and available to anyone at no charge. And, crucially, it is based on real-world observations. These are not hypothetical attacks somebody imagined on a whiteboard. They are behaviors that researchers have actually watched real intruders use against real organizations and then carefully written down. That single idea of cataloging what attackers genuinely do in a common vocabulary that every defender can share is the whole reason MITRE ATT&CK exists. Before it, 2 analysts might describe the very same break-in using completely different words. After it, they can point at the exact same square on the same map. To read that map, you need its 2 keywords, tactics and techniques. Keep them straight and everything else falls into place. A tactic is the why. It is the attacker's goal in that moment, the reason they are doing something at all. MITRE lists goals like getting in, running code, staying in, and stealing data. A technique is the how. It is the specific method used to achieve that goal. So getting in is a tactic. Sending a booby-trapped email to do it is a technique. Think of it like a heist movie. The tactic is the objective on the planning board. Get inside the vault. The technique is the actual trick they use, pick the lock, or bribe a guard, or crawl through a vent. One goal, many possible methods. Every square on the MITRE ATT&CK matrix is a technique, and the column it sits in tells you which tactic, which goal, it serves. Now here is the single most important warning in this entire video, and the thing most people get wrong. MITRE ATT&CK is not a checklist, and it is not a straight line. It is tempting to look at the matrix with its neat columns and assume an attacker marches left to right, finishing one column before starting the next. They do not. Real intrusions skip around. An attacker might steal credentials early, jump straight to moving sideways, circle back to dig in deeper, and try 3 different methods for the same goal. The matrix is a map of possible behaviors, not a route anyone is forced to follow. So, why are we about to walk it in order? Purely as a teaching device. Going in goal by goal is the clearest way to learn what each tactic means. Just hold on to the truth underneath it. This is a knowledge base of behaviors that defenders map onto, not a fixed sequence that attackers obey. So let's begin our one intrusion. The first goal is initial access, tactic TA0001. In MITRE words, the adversary is trying to get into your network. This is the foothold, that very first toehold inside the walls. And there are many techniques that serve this one goal. An attacker might exploit a flaw in a public-facing website, or abuse a stolen password on a remote login, or, most commonly of all, send phishing, technique T1566, a crafted message designed to fool one person into clicking. In our scenario, that is exactly what happens. Our employee opens an attachment that looks like a normal invoice. That is the entire foothold. One person, one click. Notice already how the map helps a defender. The moment you name this square, initial access by phishing, you can immediately ask the useful question: how would we ever see this happen? And how would we stop it? A foothold by itself is just an open door. To actually do anything, the attacker needs their code to run. That is the next goal. Execution Tactic TA0002. MITRE describes it simply as the adversary trying to run malicious code on a system. When our employee opened that invoice, the file quietly ran a small command in the background. Nothing flashed on screen. To the employee, nothing happened at all. But behind the scenes, attacker-controlled code is now executing on a real machine inside the network. And here is a recurring theme you will see again and again across this map. Attackers love to abuse the normal, trusted tools that are already on the computer, the built-in scripting and administration tools, precisely because using them looks far less suspicious than dragging in some obvious piece of malware. The square lights up. Execution. The intruder is no longer just inside the walls. They are now running. But running code once is fragile. If that employee simply reboots their computer or logs out for the night, the attacker could lose everything they just gained. So their next goal is to make sure that does not happen. This is persistence tactic TA0003. MITRE defines it as the techniques attackers use to keep their access across restarts, changed passwords, and other interruptions that would otherwise cut them off. In plain terms, they install a way back in. Maybe they set their code to relaunch automatically every time the machine starts up. Maybe they quietly create a new account that nobody is watching. The specific trick matters less than the goal: survive. From this point on, turning the computer off and on again does not evict them. They have stopped being a fleeting visitor and started becoming a resident. For a defender, persistence is gold, because the tricks attackers use to stay put are often exactly the strange little changes you can hunt for. Our intruder is now firmly inside, but on a fairly ordinary account, the limited login of one regular employee. There is only so much damage you can do as a normal user. So the next goal is to get more powerful. This is privilege escalation tactic TA0004, and MITRE description is blunt. The adversary is trying to gain higher level permissions. They want to go from an ordinary user to an administrator, the kind of account that can read anything, change anything, and reach anywhere. To get there, attackers exploit a flaw in the system, or abuse a misconfiguration, or steal the credentials of someone more powerful. In our scenario, the intruder finds a weakness that hands them administrator rights on that first machine. The difference is night and day. A limited user is boxed in. An administrator owns the box. And owning that one box, as we are about to see, is the launch pad for reaching every other box on the network. Here is the move that turns one compromised laptop into a compromised company. It is the heart of this whole story. Lateral movement, tactic TA0008. MITRE words: the adversary is trying to move through your environment. The data the attacker actually wants is almost never sitting on the first machine they happen to land on. It lives somewhere else, on a file server, in a database deep inside the network. So they pivot. Using the powerful credentials they just stole, they reach out from the first machine to a second, then from the second to a third, hopping quietly from system to system, each step looking like a normal employee logging in to do their job. And that is exactly why lateral movement is so dangerous and so hard to spot. The attacker is increasingly using legitimate accounts and the built-in tools of the network itself. To most monitoring, it just looks like ordinary people doing ordinary work. Finally, the intruder reaches what they came for: the sensitive data sitting on that server 3 rooms away. The last goal in our walk is exfiltration tactic TA0010. MITRE puts it plainly: the adversary is trying to steal data, but stealing it is not as simple as copying a folder. A careful attacker first bundles the data up, often compressing it and scrambling it, so that when it finally leaves the network, it does not look like an obvious flood of stolen files. Then they slip it out, frequently disguised inside the kind of normal-looking web traffic that flows out of every company all day long. Pause and look back at the whole journey. One opened email, code quietly running, a foothold made permanent, an ordinary account turned into an administrator, a series of quiet hops across the network, and now, data walking calmly out the front door. That is how an attacker moves. No single dramatic moment, just a chain of small, deliberate steps. Now, our 6-step walk was a teaching path, not the whole map. The real MITRE ATT&CK enterprise matrix is wider than that. As of the current version, It lays out 15 tactics in total, 15 different attacker goals, and underneath them hundreds of individual techniques. Alongside the goals we traced, there are others woven throughout a real intrusion. There is reconnaissance, scouting the target before they ever strike. There is credential access, the relentless hunt for more usernames and passwords. There is discovery, quietly mapping out what is even on the network. There is staying hidden, covering tracks and blending in to avoid being noticed. And there is command and control, the secret channel the attacker uses to send orders to the machines they have taken over. A real attacker weaves between all of these, back and forth, in whatever order suits them. Our clean 6-step line was the lesson. This messier, fuller web is the reality. And this is the moment the whole picture flips from the attacker's point of view to the defender's. Because here is the quiet genius of MITRE ATT&CK. Every one of those squares, every technique, is something a defender can prepare for in advance. Take our intrusion and lay it back over the map. Initial access by phishing, execution through a trusted tool, persistence by a hidden account. Each one is a known behavior with known ways to watch for it. So a defending team, often called the blue team, goes through the matrix and asks, for every single square, if an attacker tried this technique against us right now, would we even see it? Where they would see it, they mark a green check. Where they would be blind, they mark a gap. Suddenly, a vague worry, are we secure, becomes a concrete, answerable checklist of specific behaviors and specific blind spots. That is the shift MITRE ATT&CK makes possible. Let me make that idea concrete, because it is genuinely powerful. Imagine taking the entire matrix and coloring it in like a heat map. Bright green for the techniques you are confident you would detect. Dark red for the ones that would sail straight past you, completely unseen. Now step back and look at the shape of the color. That picture is your honest security posture, laid bare, technique by technique. And look at our intrusion again through that lens. Maybe you had great coverage on the phishing email at the very start, but a glaring red gap exactly where the attacker moved sideways across the network. That red region is not an abstract anxiety anymore. It is a specific, named to-do list. It tells you precisely which behaviors to go and build detection for next, and in what order. MITRE even publishes a free tool, the Attack Navigator, built to color in that map and track your coverage over time. The whole point is to turn fear into focus. So let us bring it home. We followed one intrusion all the way across the map. It got in through a single click. It ran its code. It dug into Survivor Reboot. It climbed to Administrator. It moved quietly from machine to machine. And it walked the data out disguised as normal traffic. 6 goals, 1 continuous chain. But remember the 2 ideas that matter most. First, tactics are the why, the attacker's goal, and techniques are the how, the specific method. Second, and never forget this one, MITRE ATT&CK is a knowledge base of real behaviors that defenders map onto, not a fixed checklist that attackers are forced to follow. The genius is not in predicting some exact path. It is in giving everyone a shared map, so that for every move an attacker might make, a defender can ask one simple question in advance. Would we see it? If this made that map click into place, consider subscribing.